Hello students. In this video, Chapter 2, Decisions and Processes, Value-Driven Business, what we will look at is the technology and information that will help businesses in their decisions and processes. So that's what we're looking at in this chapter. How can information and data information help businesses not only thrive but to excel? So let's go on to slide 2 here. So it is no longer the case where businesses can basically just use a standard type of process or approach to make their decisions. They have to be kind of looking at a lot of different other processes and systems, and there's just no longer that one system for everybody kind of approach. And that's probably been the case for a while, but more so now with changes in technology with artificial intelligence coming along as much as it has. So this chapter focuses on technology to help make decisions, solve problems, and find new innovative opportunities. So we're going to look at some of the decision support systems, executive information systems, artificial intelligence, machine learning, business processes, and some business process reengineering. So let's go into this material here. So on this slide we have managerial decision-making challenges. One, either managers need to analyze large amounts of information, and we know from earlier chapters, that there is a lot of data and a lot of information out there. Managers must make decisions quickly, and managers must apply sophisticated analysis techniques, such as Porter strategies or forecasts, to make really good strategic decisions. So the large amount of information, as I've said, does kind of bog down our decision-making process because, for example, how many times, when you sit down to do a report on a various topic, the first thing you want to do is collect data and information. And you could be there for a long time because there is just so much data and information out there that the hard part is stopping the collection process so that you can actually start putting that information into a nice report or project. So that's the difficulty now because there is that large amount of information. It does kind of slow down that process. People must make decisions quickly. The world is changing, and it probably has changed, but it just seems like now there's much greater need for really quick decisions, because if you're not making that quick decision as a manager for a business, your competitor might be making that decision quicker, and that business is going to profit and realize some gains because of that. So let's look at a little activity that I've just came up with in terms of our artificial intelligence. Say you want to buy a used car. You have a budget for a used car. What do you have to do? Well, first thing you do is probably talk to friends and family, see if they know of if they have any leads into a used car. Or you might talk to them or experts about the best type of used car to buy, best type of car to buy, and perhaps where to buy it from. So you look online, you go to dealerships, you spend a lot of time doing that process. What I did just a few minutes ago was, and this basically showcases the new ability we have to gather data and analyze it to help us make decisions much quicker. So I just went into good old ChatGPT and I asked a question. Here it is. What is the best used car to buy in Red Deer, Alberta? There it goes. It created a tailored guide to help us make this reliable local choice. Top recommended models based on reliability and the experts at Edmunds. Basically for cars less than $15,000, there's a top 3 or 4 or 5 different types of vehicles out there. These models are widely respected for their long-term reliability and strong resale values. Current listings, examples around Red Deer. Here they are, with mileage, the cost, and the general location. There they are right there. There are some cars. We can continue that. Affordable cars under $10,000 and the source where they have found these. So instead of you having to go through all the different places online or just searching online, talking to other people, quick message into our AI friend here gave us some of the best deals. Now we could probably ask it to specialize. Perhaps we want a car that's has really good fuel mileage. We could specify that in there. It's going to then continue that on there. Buying tips for Red Deer, quick summary table. Like, wow, this is awesome. There we go. So in a matter of moments, we have basically a process in place to help us make that decision. We've allowed the system to analyze a large amount of data and information, and we have helped. It's basically given us criteria to help us make our decision. So we could go out here and we could, call up a few of these places, make your pick on the type of vehicle that you personally like, maybe put in some other parameters, and it's going to give you the best choice. And we are using good old sophisticated analysis techniques. So there is that benefit. And be interesting what else you could ask in terms of finding something in your local area where you are about whether cars or the best place to go for fun or whatever. Okay, let's continue on. So that kind of underscores the importance or the use of this, and we, as I said, we're able to make a decision, or at least have the process to make that decision a lot faster. Oops. There we go. So the 6-step decision-making process. Go through this. This basically helps firms make decisions, managers make decisions, problem identification, data collection. Identify the problem, you collect some data, you generate some solutions, you test it, see if it's viable. And then you kind of select the best solution, and then you implement it. So in terms of problem identification, it could be a business one about customers, what they say about the price, the product, the service, the after sales process, the quality of the product. Look at collecting data, and that's generally if you've taken a market and research course, basically this is the process we do after we identify the problem, go and collect the data, see what the data says, and pick a solution, perhaps test it, and pick and basically give the client the best option. In terms of this, in this example, we are the client, so we're trying to do this for ourselves, but here's the 6 steps we need. So let's go into slide, oops, I went backwards. No, I didn't. Sorry, slide 6, decision-making essentials. Organizational levels. So we have operational, where basically things are done, managerial, where they basically make sure employees are doing what they need to be doing, and then strategic, the upper level in the organization, making sure that there's a proper vision for the future, that there's plans in place to carry this forward. So the different levels, as the slide says, requires different types of information to assist in the decision-making, problem-solving, and opportunity capturing. So at each different level, we need different a different type of information. So we're going to look at these in more detail. Operational. Oops. Employees develop, control, maintain core business activities required to run the day-to-day operations. So we got the core business activities, making sure that we can do what the workers, the employees have what they need in order to make the product or create that service opportunity. Operational decisions, structured decisions. So that's at the operational level. The managerial decision-making level, employees evaluate company operations to identify, adapt to, and leverage change. So what's working, what needs to be changed, kind of in that immediate time frame. Managerial decisions. These concern how the organization should achieve the goals and objectives set by its strategy. So basically the managerial staff, making sure that they have the information needed to ensure that the employees, the staff are doing what they need to do, and that they have identified and adapted to any kind of change. Strategic decision making levels. Strategic level, managers develop overall strategies, goals, and objectives as part of the company's strategic plan. So how are we going to carry out and go forward with our processes, with our product and services, for example. Strategic decisions, unstructured decisions. So as I've said, there are different levels that require different types of information. In this next section, we're going to look at metrics. Metrics. Two core metrics: critical success factors and key performance indicators. These are the ones where you have to, if you identify critical success factors, those things that are important, essential to the business's success, you identify those. You have to make sure that you have a process to gather the data to support that factor, that you are tracking what you need to track. Key performance indicators, basically they measure the progress of the critical success factors with quantifiable measurements. So these are pieces of quantifiable data that are being measured by the business in order to determine if we are meeting the those critical success factors. So each critical success factor could have multiple KPIs, key performance indicators, that basically report the strength, the health of the organization's key factors. Critical success factors are the crucial steps companies perform to achieve their goals and objectives and implement strategies. So they are elements crucial for the success of the company. Identifiable and measured through the KPIs. There we go. KPIs, key performance indicators. They measure the progress of the CSFs with quantifiable measurements, as I've said. So some key KPIs could be the turnover rate of employees, number of product returns, number of new customers, average customer spending. Those are going to be measuring some, at least one critical success factor. Oops. So let's go on to slide 14. That's basically an overview of the critical success factors and key performance indicators. Efficiency and effectiveness. Two different measurements, two different terms. Efficiency, basically getting the most from each resource, whereas effectiveness is setting the right goals and objectives and making sure that they are accomplished. So efficiency, MIS, focuses on the extent to which a firm is using its resources in an optimal way. How efficient are you being with various resources? Doing things right, getting the most from each resource. Whereas effectiveness focuses on on how well a firm is achieving its goals, doing the right things instead of doing things right. How effective are you being? So there's going to be different metrics that can be used to measure how efficient and how effective an organization is. In terms of benchmarking are quite important. Benchmarks, those baselines, they help assess how a project is performing over time. If a system held a benchmark for response time of 15 seconds, for example, the manager would want to ensure response times do not deviate from this point, including increases or decreases. So if that's your benchmark, if that's your kind of baseline goal, then you want to make sure that you can achieve that. So models can calculate risks, understand uncertainty, change variables, and manipulate time to make decisions. So you create a model in statistics with that background. You create some type of statistical model to represent some process, and then you can use that model to help managers deal with uncertainty, especially if you're using a probabilistic demand model. That'll help you understand, calculate your risk, help you understand the uncertainty. You can manipulate the variables, see what happens if one variable increases, what happens to the overall, say, profitability or other indicators in that. So models are really good. We'll be doing a little bit of that in our examples when we get into some of the Excel tools that we'll be using. Creating models and letting the models help us understand just how effective we are being and if we are meeting those benchmarks. Let's go on. Let's go to slide 18. Transactional information, transaction processing systems, and online transaction processing. Transactional information encompasses all of the information contained within a single business process or unit of work. And its primary purpose is to support the performing of daily operation or structured decisions. So that's that transactional information. Transactional or transaction processing system, TPS, the basic business system that serves the operational level, and system making structured decisions. So let's move on to slide 19. Analytical information, online analytical processing, decision support systems. So here you're going to have you're looking at your data to identify trends, projections, to help you kind of use that data and information kind of going forward. So good analytical skills, data might be presented in databases or spreadsheets, and we'll be looking at both of those in future chapters, and basically allowing us to manipulate and analyze large data sets. Dashboards are becoming very useful. We'll be creating some element of a dashboard using Excel in other chapters. Basically, here's just a kind of one-stop, quick, great visual representation of how different indicators are being met. And it gives managers the ability just to quickly have a lot of data analyzed quite quickly and to present it in such a way that most people will be able to understand what's happening in some of the graphics there. So that's something that we'll be doing. There's studies about showing a direct correlation between the use of these digital dashboards and a company's return on investment. As I said, this is gives you the pulse of what's happening at that moment. That you can it can help you identify perhaps shortcomings, trends that may not be going in the direction that you want, and perhaps there's things that you can act upon in that time period to correct any type of problem that may be seen. So these first few chapters, as I've said, are a quick overview of some of the things. We'll get into more detail, fun stuff as we progress. So let's take a look at next slide here. Basically, same thing. We'll be in Excel. We'll be making all these charts, and there's a way that we can put them on some type of digital dashboard as well. Tracking helps us track what we've identified to be the key performance indicators to see if the critical success factors are being met, if we're succeeding or falling short of anything. So there's various ways to present that data that we'll be getting into. Easy way, easy process in Excel or other database or other spreadsheets to create all of these graphs, and we'll be doing a little bit of that as well. All the fun stuff. Oops. There we go, and highlight some of this stuff using artificial intelligence to make business decisions. Example I showed at the beginning of this chapter, letting it, asking it to find the best type of used car to buy in a selected area. It's amazing how quickly it can gather that information. So basically, artificial intelligence is able to transform various inputs to outputs and condense it in such a way that really makes it easy to understand that data, because the information has been reported in a nice process. Move on here. We'll be coming back to some of this stuff when we get into our database section and Excel section. Machine learning. Type of artificial intelligence that enables computers to both understand concepts in the environment and also to learn. Supervised or unsupervised and transfer machine learning. Now, we've all experienced this, unfortunately. If you've ever gone online to research anything, you'll get, or to call a company, they'll basically have a chat system set up that is, those good old bots, and basically you are not talking to a person behind that screen. It's going to be some type of artificial intelligence machine kind of process. Machine learning, where basically they are getting, they are able to follow your prompt and sometimes give you the information that you need. But there's sometimes, it's still in its kind of infancy, a lot better than what it was, but it's still kind of learning. But basically that is type of artificial intelligence and machine learning that's happening. There are different types of machine learning. You got virtual assistants, systems that'll recommend choices for you, healthcare diagnostics, autonomous vehicles, self-driving vehicles. Banks use fraud detection. I'm sure most governments, tax agencies use some type of artificial intelligence, machine learning to help it analyze perhaps risk of fraud or other things that they need to be aware of. Okay, let's go into some terms there. Machine learning bias. Bias, as it says there, a disproportionate weight in favor of or against an idea or thing, usually in a way that is closed-minded, prejudicial, or unfair. And there's we'll go over some key types of most common biases. So there's some biases there. Affinity, conformity bias, confirmation bias, name bias. So some of these will show up on the quiz. Basically being aware of the different types of biases that can exist and that can actually be continued into artificial intelligence and machine learning. 4 types of biases in machine learning. Sample bias, a problem with which uses incorrect training and data to train the machine. So, good old days you'd talk about garbage in, garbage out. So that's kind of similar to that process. It's just not set up to deal with the type of problem that we need it to deal with. A prejudice bias, a result of training data that is influenced by cultural or other stereotypes. Measurement bias occurs when there's a problem with the data collected that skews the results in one direction. And a variance bias, a mathematical property of that algorithm. We'll be talking about those more in other chapters as well. Including a part of this chapter, we'll just briefly highlight virtual reality, computer simulated environment that can be simulation of the real world or an imaginary world. Gaming takes and uses this quite a bit, creating that virtual reality. Augmented reality, the viewing of the physical world with computer-generated layers of information added to it. So it just highlights that that physical world. There we go. Business processes, just a couple things to touch upon here, just to highlight some of these things. Company must continually evaluate all the business processes in its value chain in order to keep its competitive advantage. If you don't, you're going to lose it, and it can be difficult to gain back. The business processes transform that set of inputs into a set of outputs, goods or services. So that's something that the business needs to keep on top of as we go through this material. We'll be working with some data, information, and just making sure that the right levels are getting to the information that they need. Let's take a look at next slide. Customer-facing process and the business-facing process, two different terms. Customer-facing process results in a product or service that is received by an organization's external customer. A business-facing process, invisible to the external customer but essential to the effective management of the business, also called the back office processes. The customer is not going to be aware of those things. Basically, what happens to make their get their output kind of thing in terms of allocating resources and basically doing what they need to do. So there's some customer-facing things that the customers are aware of, communicating with customers, sending out bills, marketing information. They're all going to be aware of that because it's going directly to the customer. And then last little bit just on robotic processing automation, RPA. The use of software with artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities to handle high volume, repeatable tasks that previously required a human to perform. You see this in some type of physical storage room. You see this with auto manufacturing. You see this extensively in lots of different industries. And of course the concern is at what point are we going to be significantly replaced by machine learning, robotics, artificial intelligence. But that's a material for another chapter that we'll talk again.